forever putting my hands on them, and I apologize publicly to the community for my ignorance, right? But it was the strength of Bill Wilson and Willie Mae Wilson, their testimony and their conviction that allowed me to see there are different ways to engage and grow our children that don't include violence. And so kudos to Bill and to Willie Mae Wilson as well. What's on your plate right now? You are always sort of grinding for education and solving problems around education.
Well, thanks for saying that. It actually is a good transition from Bill Wilson, because at the school that Bill founded, more than 75% of the youngsters are earning free college credit before they graduate from high school. I'm going to say those three words again: free college credit. We now have hundreds of youngsters in Minnesota who are earning free college credit before they graduate from high school by taking courses either in the high school or on a college campus, or by taking courses online. However, we've just done a study that shows that not one of the 95 districts or charters that we studied are providing families with the accurate, up-to-date information that they need about these courses. So I deeply appreciate your willingness to share some of this information. Families can save up to $25,000 or even $30,000 in cash, because these courses offered either in the high school, online, or on a college campus are free, and free means free books, free tuition, no fees, no admissions.
Amazing. And so people just don't know still.
Yes, sir. And part of the problem is that, unfortunately, too many school districts don't tell them about it, and some districts discourage kids from taking it, which is terrible.
Why?
Well, it costs the districts money, but of course the legislature and the taxpayers give the districts and the charters money. Mm-hmm. So part of
it's a headache. It's a hassle.
What
is it?
It is meeting the needs of literally thousands of young people is what it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can have kids starting in the 10th grade, and I was just talking to somebody this morning who had taken, who's now in a welding class, taking and learning how to weld at a local public college. We now have a new program just starting this spring in St. Paul, where youngsters are learning to be welders and glazers. These are free classes. At this particular program, there's no admissions test. And if those of you who are interested and know somebody who's going to be a senior next year, this program will be offered again by a collaboration, the kind of collaboration that you have worked on for decades, bringing together people from different communities to work together. This is another collaboration between the union and businesses that's offering this free college program where kids are learning to be glazers and welders. No admissions test. People can contact the Center for School Change if they're interested. But we have these programs literally all over the state. I give credit to Minneapolis schools. They have an equitable policy toward this. They say we're not going to reward some of these programs and not others. They say we're going to have the same grade point average program for all of these. And I give Minneapolis public schools credit for that.
Good.
But nevertheless, Minneapolis and the other 94 districts and charters that we look at weren't providing all the information that the state law says they're supposed to provide. So deeply appreciate your willingness to let me have a chance to tell people about this.
Well, let's give people the phone number or the email address. How do they connect with you and the Center for School Change?
It's www.centerforschoolchange.org. Phone number is 612-309-6571. Well, let me just say one last thing here. The Pilgrim Baptist Church in St. Paul and the St. Paul Public Schools are having a free event a week from this Saturday, early college fair. There will be a number of historically black colleges and universities present. They'll have some scholarship materials available. This is a free event, Harding High School, a week from this Saturday. It's an event that I hope a lot of people come to, because they'll be hearing from students who have taken these free college credits, and they'll be hearing from colleges and universities from all over the country, including historically black colleges and universities.
And maybe you can help me by identifying some of the students who've taken the courses. We should tell their stories in Insight News, because nothing is better than creating a narrative that shows what is possible. And their testimony is invaluable, I think.
It would be an honor to do that. We have young people, including a young African-American woman who is the board chair of a group called People for PSEO, from a low-income family, comes to Minnesota from New York City. We have some representatives from New York City and their families. She came to Minnesota. She's a single-parent family, low income, goes to the University of Minnesota under the post-secondary enrollment options. She earns 2 years of free college credit. No tuition, no book fees, no admissions fee. Free college credit. She graduated from the University of Minnesota at age 19. And we have more and more young people doing this. But the families need to know that it's available.
It's doable. I got a press release yesterday from the Minnesota Education Equity Partnership. Their subtitle is Advancing Race Equity and Excellence. Familiar with the organization?
Yes, sir.
And their headline on the press release says, new research highlights immediate need to reform Minnesota's student financial aid system to reduce racial disparities. And some of the highlights, it seems, were that reducing racial disparities in college completion, the case for equitable higher education financial aid system in Minnesota. That part of their study shows longstanding policies towards financial aid that leave communities of color, people of color, out of opportunities to attend and complete colleges. And they want to propose using a race equity lens to build a more equitable system. That's one idea. And their key recommendations include something they call reduced student responsibility for the Minnesota state grant. Maybe you can speak to that. Also, to increase the calculation for the cost of living allowance for financial aid. And finally, that they extend the state grant eligibility and encourage more people of color students to apply for financial aid. Give me a general assessment of the meaning and the value propositions being presented by this organization.
Well, Al, I'm ashamed to say that in liberal Minnesota, as an old white man, 71 years old, I am ashamed of this state in terms of how we've done in education for low-income kids and kids of color and indigenous people. And I say that as somebody who's worked on this for 50 years. We, in the 60s, hoped we'd make far more progress. And Minnesota Education Equity Partnership is headed by the remarkable Carlos Mariani, who came to Minnesota from Chicago, is a state legislator, and is the head of the Minnesota Education Equity Partnership. They do fantastic research, and their research is right on. We have a goal in the state of by 2025 having 70% of every economic and racial group and ethnic group having some kind of degree. It might be a 1-year certificate, it might be a 2-year degree, it might be a 4-year degree, 70%. And frankly, at this point, for a number of groups, the number of people, the percentage of people in ages 25 to 44 who have that is less than 25%. And our goal is 70%. And we know that there are lots and lots of good jobs. We know that people are healthier. People have generally more satisfying lives if they have at least some 1-year or 2-year certificate beyond high school. But our record is abysmal. And the dual credit programs that I've described are one way to help youngsters earn that before they leave high school. The recommendations from MANEP, Minnesota Education Equity Partnership, are another part of it. And it's not either or, of course. We need to do a far better job. And if we do a far better job, we will have a much more prosperous state. We will have a state that's healthier. We'll have a state that in every way is more equitable and more full of justice than we have now.
Joe Nathan, thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you. Let's give people contact information one more time.
Thank you so much, Al, and thank you for your decades of work to push for collaboration and push for progress. It's centerforschoolchange.org, www.centerforschoolchange.org, phone number 612-309-6571.
I feel glad in my heart today. Ever loving you makes me feel this way. I'll give you my harp to play it. Play a melody, let's dance our sorrows away. Come on everybody, come and dance. Come do your kind of dance. Yari 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 muri beka. Jiggy 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 bogo ma wen. Bogo ma bogo ma bogo ma. Bogo ma bogo
I'm Al McFarlane. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. Wow, great conversation with Joe, and got more great conversation for you. Before I introduce my next guest, I want to introduce a special friend and one of several colleagues who are in the studio today. Chaz Millionaire, celebrated former KFAI team member, but known from here and around the world for his fabulous work at KMOJ. Now, when you hear the voice, you know what I'm talking about. So let me drop it on you. Chaz, brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, Al. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I, just want to say thank you so much for all that you do for the community, for the universe. And you've been a mentor of mine and a teaching mentor my whole life. And, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here at my alma mater, where I started my broadcasting career.
Well, it comes and goes because your mom is a powerful leader in our community.
She is.
And she's been a mentor, a friend and a mentor to me. So this all comes around.
Ain't
it
that
goes
something?
around. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I love you, Mama. Alice Dillon, Piker Head Start. We're sending you love, baby.
And so you talk to the world in our community on a first name basis every week. I smile when I hear your voice because it seems like you know everybody that's listening and you're talking to each one of them individually. And I think that's a wonderful gift that you bring to your personality, your persona on radio. How do you do it? Where's it coming from?
Well, I would say it comes from, the mentors that I've had in my life in broadcasting, from Jack the Rapper Gibson to Mojo from Detroit to Al McFarlane to Alexander O'Neill to the late, great Kyle Ray, Professor Funk, who initially gave me my first start in 1981 here at KFAI, back at the old place, 3104 16th Avenue South. And just
It's
really...
the Walker Church, right?
Yes, sir. And just really the teachings from my family about, it's important that we all give back and, what have you done for somebody else today, and really, the mentor piece. And I've been really fortunate to tour the world and, with my passion and just really staying humble. What they taught me was, you check your ego at the door. So stay humble. There's no big me, little you, and just be kind to people.
Cool. Well, you know what? You've got some friends. We have some friends who are going to be joining us later in the program.
Yes.
Let me ask you to introduce them, to say their names first of all, and then after the next segment, we'll do a music break and bring them on camera and on mic.
Absolutely. Well, who we have today is, and who we're celebrating continuously, not only during Black History Month, but throughout our whole life, is a mentor, a friend, a colleague, a partner, as we tribute Disco T, who has done so much for the hip-hop community, the musical community here in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and we want to honor him and pay homage to him for all that he's done. He's here with his daughter, Christina, and we're happy she's here from Seattle. And we also have a couple other legendary people, Andrea Arlinson, she's here, Miss A1 from Circa Records, who was independent a record owner and producer of music, and then the legendary Sam Soprano, who has been a musical staple.
The great Sam Soprano.
The great Sam, the one and only,
One and only,
Soprano.
yeah.
He's in the building, and he's been doing it for, like all of us, 30-plus years. And, again, our focus is honoring Disco T and talking about some of the things we have a benefit, not a benefit, but a tribute. Tribute at the Fine Line that'll be coming up, and a tribute show on KMOJ. And just coincidentally, we just left NPR with Derek DeLight and did a very touching and moving interview about disco. And, he's been diagnosed with cancer. And just rallying around him and showing him love, and he's, very knowledgeable, and his story, at his request, if he can help somebody else, that may be going through some of the same things, then, he's very knowledgeable, and he's really been a health nut and a vegan before it was even fashionable. So we have a lot to learn from him, and I'm just excited to be here and really just share the love and embrace him.
We're going to get to it. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. Glad to be here, as I always say, and that was the voice of none other than one of Minnesota's greatest, the legendary Chaz Millionaire, hanging out, co-piloting with me today, bringing some other friends of ours, leaders in the industry, to be in conversation. But Chaz, hang out with me for this interview.
Yes, sir.
More friends of mine, they'll be friends of yours after this
Yes,
conversation.
I met them in the lobby, and I'm excited. I got new friends. I like new friends.
Well, Rachel Hopper worked for the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources in communications policy, planning, and legislative affairs for the past 13 years. So she's passionate about connecting people to the outdoors, introducing kids to the natural beauty of Minnesota. And we want to talk about that. She's here with a friend, Veronica Haralambidis. Did I say it properly?
Perfect.
Okay. Bueno, mil gracias. Es un placer que está visitando con nosotros hoy día. Y si quiere, podremos hablar en español o en inglés.
Como no, Al.
Como no, o en dos. Como dos. Pues, so, Veronica and Rachel are here with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. Veronica, first of all, thank you so much for what you do and for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's an honor to be here during Black History Month. And, well, like we were saying before, we're here to invite everyone, your listeners, the community, to come to visit Parks and Trails. It's such a great way to stay healthy, along with veganism.
That's right.
Yeah, one of the things that we're really proud to announce is Minnesota State Parks and Trails now has 4 free park days where you can come in to any of our 75 state parks and recreation areas free of charge. So you don't have to pay the $7 one-day fee or the $35 year-round fee. And really our goal in setting this is making sure that all Minnesotans have access to the outdoors and the beauty of our state park system. It belongs to all of us, not just the privileged. And so we want to be here to make sure that everybody knows that they have some days, if they feel like the cost is a barrier, to get outdoors and explore something new and explore a new place. Some of the research we've done over the past many years is there are barriers for a lot of people to getting outdoors. A lot of it's around cost, but some of it's around information, and then just having the time. We all know that when you have both mom and dad working, that it's hard to make that time for the outdoors. But it's really important. There's lots of health benefits to getting outdoors, particularly if you're out in nature. That really helps reduce stress. It kind of resets your mind, lowers depression, gets your heart racing. So there's a lot of benefits getting outdoors, and we want to make sure that everybody knows that there's some days coming up where you can